The signs were there, subtle at first, like cracks forming in a foundation you thought was solid. Looking back now, after everything, I should have seen them screaming, not just scattered like breadcrumbs. But when you've built 5 years of your life with someone, sharing an apartment, dreams, even a dog, you tend to wear blinders thick enough to withstand storm. Or maybe you just desperately want to believe the storm isn't coming. Sophia and I had a good life, or so I thought. Stable jobs, mine in IT, hers in marketing, comfortable apartment, talked about potentially buying a place in the next year or two, maybe even kids further down the line. We weren't living a high-flying lifestyle, but we were building something real, brick by brick. My weekends might have involved coding projects or catching up on shows, and hers were often packed with industry events or networking, but we balanced it. At least I thought we did. It started maybe 6 months ago. Her phone became an extension of her hand, face down, notifications silenced. Work trips got longer, more frequent, and explanations vaguer. New clothes, designer brands I didn't recognize and certainly couldn't afford on my salary started appearing in the closet. A faint, unfamiliar cologne sometimes lingered on her jackets. She'd pull away when I tried to put my arm around her while she was texting, her body tensing up. Calls she'd take in the other room, whispering, claiming they were confidential work matters. The subtle criticisms began too, little digs about my job security, my lack of ambition, the way I spent my free time compared to her busy, important schedule. It chipped away at me, but I dismissed it as stress from her demanding job. Then came last Tuesday. She was in the kitchen, oblivious, making one of her elaborate protein smoothies. I was clearing the coffee table and saw her tablet light up with a notification. A message preview from Jay Sterling. It read, "Can't wait for our trip next month. Everything is falling into place perfectly." My blood ran cold. A trip? Falling into place? This wasn't a work message. The name clicked. Jay Sterling. Jay Sterling, the senior partner at her marketing firm. A man notorious in the industry. Older, incredibly wealthy, married. My stomach plummeted to my feet. I didn't want to be the cliché, snooping through her device. But the breadcrumbs weren't breadcrumbs anymore. They were a flashing neon sign demanding attention. I took a shaky breath and picked up the tablet. My hands were trembling as I navigated to her messages. What I saw confirmed the worst, and then some. Months of conversations, explicit details, shared photos, discussions of a future together. Not just a trip, but actual plans involving property, finances, a life. My life, our life, completely disregarded. The blender whined to a stop. Sophia turned, wiping her hands on a towel, a casual smile on her face. "Hey," she said, reaching for her smoothie. "Rough day." I just stood there, leaning against the door frame, the tablet clutched in my hand like a lead weight. My voice was flat, devoid of emotion, which surprised me. "Who is Jay Sterling, Sophia?" Her body language changed instantly. The casual posture vanished, replaced by a sudden stiffness. Her eyes narrowed slightly, assessing me. But then, something chilling happened. A smile spread across her face. Not the warm, genuine smile I love, but something cold, knowing, almost triumphant. It was the look of a predator who'd just been discovered but didn't care. "Wondering when you'd finally catch on, Alex," she said, taking a slow sip of her smoothie. Her tone was infuriatingly casual, like discussing the weather. "Jay? He's my future. And yes, I've been seeing him. Seriously. For months." The sheer audacity, the lack of remorse, felt like a physical blow. My mind reeled. 5 years. Everything. And this was it? She continued, her voice dripping with condescension, that smirk firmly in place. "Honestly, Alex, I needed more. I needed a man with a future. Someone established, who knows what he wants and has the power to get it. Not someone content to tinker with computers on weekends and just coast. I'm moving up, Alex. Jay can actually give me the life I deserve." My chest tightened, not just from the betrayal, but from the sheer, brutal dismissal of who I was, of everything we had built. Coasting? Was that really how she saw my stable career, my plan and my support? Through the haze of shock and pain, another thought surfaced. Our friends, David and Emily. We'd introduced them, double-dated constantly. Do David and Emily know? I asked, my voice still unervingly calm. Sophia laughed. A light, airy sound that grated on my raw nerves. Oh, please. Of course they know. Most people in our circle do. They understand. They see the reality. Jay can provide a future, not just empty promises and video games. That stung more than the cheating itself. My friends, the people I trusted, confided in. They knew, and they sided with her. They validated this. I pulled out my phone, fingers fumbling, and opened the group chat with David and Emily. My message was simple. Sophia says you both knew. Is that true? David's reply was almost instantaneous. Yeah, man. Look, it's rough, but Sophia's right. You're a good guy, but she's on a different path now. Jay can open doors. Emily's message followed. It was awkward, Alex. We didn't want to hurt you, but we support Sophia. This is a better opportunity for her. Opportunity. My heart ached, but a different feeling was growing alongside the pain. A hardening resolve. I looked up from my phone. Sophia was watching me, that same insufferable smirk on her face, clearly waiting for tears, yelling, a dramatic scene. She wanted to watch me break. Instead, I smiled again. A real, slow, steady smile that reached my eyes. It wasn't happy, but it wasn't broken either. It was the smile of someone who suddenly saw everything with crystalline clarity. Without a word, I walked past her, ignoring her sputtering question, and went to the bedroom. My go bag was in the closet, packed for weekend trips, never used often enough. I grabbed it, my laptop, my essential documents, passport, etc., and my car keys. As I walked back through the kitchen, Sophia was staring, her smirk finally faltering, replaced by confusion. Where? Where are you going? She demanded. Out. I replied simply, pausing at the door. I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew, now a stranger. Keep the apartment, Sophia. I'm sure Jay Sterling can help with the mortgage payments now. He's got future, right? I didn't wait for her response, didn't listen as she started to yell my name. I closed the door behind me and walked away from the life I had built. My phone was already buzzing frantically with messages, probably from Sophia, maybe from David and Emily, the fair-weather friends already trying to manage the fallout. I silenced it and kept walking. As I drove away, the feeling wasn't just relief. It was a quiet certainty. I hadn't just lost a girlfriend and friends. I'd shed weight I didn't know I was carrying. I ended up at a small, slightly run-down motel on the edge of town. It wasn't glamorous, but it was clean, anonymous, and the owner, an older man named Pete with kind eyes and a perpetual coffee mug, seemed decent. When he heard I needed a weekly rate on short notice, no questions asked, he even knocked $20 off. It was a small act of kindness in the middle of a world that felt like it had just exploded. For 2 days, I kept my phone off. Just silence. Processing the shock, the pain, the raw disbelief at the depth of Sophia's betrayal and the casual cruelty of David and Emily. I walked, I sat, I just breathed. Pete didn't pry, just offered a nod or a quiet morning when he saw me. When I finally turned my phone back on, it was like opening Pandora's box. A deluge of notifications. Over 50 missed calls, 100+ text messages. Most were from Sophia, a mix of anger, playing the victim, trying to sound concerned, then quickly back to threats. Calls from David and Emily, filled with weak justifications and attempts to smooth things over. But the real storm was online. Sophia had been busy, very busy. Her social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn, were ablaze. She had launched a full-scale, weaponized smear campaign. According to her carefully crafted narrative, I was a controlling, emotionally abusive, jealous wreck who had hindered her career for years. She painted me as a financial leech who relied on her income despite having my own stable job, twisting the fact that we split expenses based on agreed-upon percentages. She claimed I was unstable, prone to fits of rage, and had threatened her when she finally broke free. Each post was accompanied by carefully posed pictures, looking vulnerable, determined, moving on. The comment sections were filled with hundreds of messages of support, many from people I knew, people I thought were neutral acquaintances, even some who knew both of us. David and Emily were among the most vocal defenders. It was sickening, seeing people I'd shared meals and laughs with, people who knew me, blindly believe and propagate these vicious lies was a new level of pain. It felt like they were actively helping her dismantle my life piece by piece. Then came the professional hit. An email circulated at my company, a generic-sounding memo about upholding professional conduct and addressing external behaviors that impact the workplace. My name wasn't mentioned, but the timing, right after Sophia's online onslaught tagged my workplace in some posts, wasn't subtle. Colleagues who were friendly just days before now avoided eye contact or offered curt, cold responses. Amidst this isolation, a small beacon. Liam, a coworker I respected but wasn't particularly close to, sent me a private message. It was cautious. "Hey Alex, hang in there. Don't let the noise get to you. Most of us know you. And I've seen some things that don't add up with what's being said. If you ever need to talk, outside of work stuff, you have my number." It was a small message, but it meant the world. It told me not everyone was fooled. I knew then I couldn't just hide in the motel. Hiding was what they wanted. I decided I wouldn't just be a victim of her narrative. My calm exit wasn't the end. It was the first step in a different kind of fight, guided by a cold, clear resolve, and after researching online legal resources, I started building my own case. I took screenshots of every single post, every comment, every nasty message. I logged dates and times. I kept records of the cold shoulders and strange interactions at work. I started building my own documentation. I wasn't sure exactly what I'd do with it yet, but I refused to let my life be dismantled based on lies. One particularly humiliating incident happened when I tried to open a new checking account, a minor financial step towards independence. The bank manager, after seeing my ID and maybe recognizing my name from local social media circles or a news blurb Sophia had somehow generated, gave me a strange look and politely but firmly told me they couldn't proceed due to unspecified compliance concerns. It was clear the smear had reached even this level. It wasn't just social gossip. It was actively impacting my life in tangible ways. Then came a chillingly professional, almost understated phone call from a blocked number. The voice was deep, smooth, and vaguely familiar from company events. "Alex? Jay Sterling here," the voice said. My heart pounded, but I held my breath. I understand there's been some unpleasantness. For everyone's sake, perhaps it's best if you simply move on. Avoid causing any further distress. It wouldn't be advisable to rock the boat, professionally or otherwise. There are resources available to ensure matters are handled discreetly. Think about your future. The implication was clear: stay quiet, disappear, or I would face the consequences of his power. I hung up without saying a word, but the threat solidified my determination. I wasn't just fighting Sophia anymore. A few days later, I received the email. Formal, concise, from Evelyn Sterling, Jay Sterling's wife. "Mr. Alex Chun, I believe we need to discuss a matter concerning my husband, Jay Sterling, and Ms. Sophia. I have information I believe you will find relevant. Please contact me at your earliest convenience." The subject line was simple: regarding recent events. Meeting Evelyn Sterling felt like stepping into a different world. We met in a quiet, exclusive private room at a downtown hotel. She was older than Jay, impeccably dressed, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. There was a deep weariness about her, but also an iron will. She didn't mince words. "Mr. Chun, I understand you've been impacted by Jay and Ms. S. relationship. You're not the first." Evelyn revealed she had been aware of Jay's philandering for years, but his relationship with Sophia was different. It was more public, more intertwined with his professional life and Messier. She had been methodically gathering evidence, not just for divorce, but because she suspected a pattern of abuse of power within his company. Jay, she explained, had a history of preying on ambitious young employees, starting relationships, using his power and company resources, and then, when the affairs ended or became problematic, orchestrating their professional ruin or forcing them out, often with the active help of the current mistress. Sophia, Evelyn confirmed, had been a willing and enthusiastic participant in this pattern for at least the past year. helping Jay manage his image and subtly sideline anyone who might pose a threat or knew too much. Before Ms. Evelyn stated, her voice low, there was a young man named Mark. Worked in a different department, but Jay targeted him similarly. When Mark tried to break things off, Jay and someone orchestrated a campaign against him. Mark lost everything. He left the city. Evelyn had recently made contact with Mark. He hadn't just disappeared. He had been documenting his own experience, waiting for the right moment. He had years' worth of proof, emails, forged documents, witnesses who were afraid to speak up. My own documentation, my screenshots of Sophia's smear campaign, my log of Jay's subtle threat, fit perfectly into Evelyn's larger mosaic. It wasn't just a personal betrayal. It was part of a systemic issue of corporate misconduct and abuse of power. Liam's cautious support solidified into active alliance. He contacted me again, more openly this time. He'd seen Sophia manipulate situations at the office, heard her bragging about Jay's influence, and had overheard snippets of conversations that painted a disturbing picture of their activities. He had screenshots of internal chat groups where Sophia made veiled, condescending remarks about my professional capabilities, clearly trying to undermine me even before the breakup. It was risky for him, but he was fed up with the toxic environment Jay and Sophia created. The plan took shape, exposed Jay and Sophia's pattern of misconduct and abuse of power, not just the affair, using Evelyn's extensive evidence, Mark's historical documentation, Liam's insider view, and my personal experience of the smear campaign. The target, the company's annual gala. Maximum attendance, maximum exposure. Evelyn was calm and strategic. Sometimes, she said, her eyes cold and resolute, the best revenge is letting them expose themselves. We just need to provide the platform. There was even a brief, almost unnerving interaction Evelyn orchestrated, a chance meeting with Sophia at a charity event before the gala. Evelyn was polite, coolly acknowledging Sophia's presence with a look that promised consequences, leaving Sophia visibly shaken but unaware of the full scale of what's coming. The night of the gala arrived. It was held in a glittering ballroom downtown. I dressed carefully, opting for a suit I hadn't worn in years, feeling a quiet strength settle over me. Walking in, the atmosphere shifted. Whispers, stares, heads turning. Sophia and Jay Sterling were across the room, deep in conversation, but they saw me. Sophia's smile froze, Jay's face paled. I didn't approach them. I found Liam, who gave me a tense but encouraging nod. Mrs. Sterling arrived a little later, a figure of elegant power, acknowledging me with a subtle dip of her head. David and Emily, however, made a beeline for me, clearly liquored up and emboldened by their self-righteousness. "Can't believe you have the nerve to show up, Alex," David slurred, loud enough for nearby groups to hear. "After everything you put Sophia through." Emily chimed in, "Yes, seriously? Making her life miserable, driving her to this." I looked at them, these people I'd called friends, their faces twisted with feigned outrage and self-preservation. A small, genuine smile touched my lips. "Everything I put her through?" I asked, my voice low but clear. "That's interesting. Tell me more. Tell everyone here how you stood by and watched, how you cheered her on while she spread vicious lies about me. Tell them about the future you were hoping Jay Sterling might share with you, David." David's face went from red to white. Emily gasped. Their confident facade cracked. Before they could stammer out a response, the planned chaos began. The main projector screen, initially showing company logos, suddenly changed. A slideshow began, controlled remotely by Evelyn Sterling. It started with Jay's corporate expense reports detailing lavish dinners coded as client meetings, but showing only two attendees, Jay and Sophia. Then came the texts, explicit, undeniable, discussing personal trips on company time, using corporate jets, planning their future using embezzled funds. It moved on to emails where Jay instructed Sophia on how to subtly undermine employees, how to craft performance reviews that would force people out. As gasps rippled through the crowd, Liam, microphone in hand for a planned presentation, stepped forward. He looked directly at Jay and Sophia. I apologize, he said, his voice steady. This is not my scheduled presentation. But since we're discussing transparency and conduct, I need to add something. He went on to calmly corroborate the evidence on screen, speaking about the toxic work environment, witnessing Sophia's calculated manipulation of others, and confirming that Alex's recent professional issues were a direct result of their deliberate actions, not his performance. It was a brave, unexpected act that gave a human voice to the evidence. Sophia's meltdown. Faced with public humiliation and her lies exposed, Sophia lost control. She shrieked, trying to rush the stage, deny everything, accuse Evelyn of being a bitter old woman, Liam of being a liar, and me of orchestrating it. Her carefully constructed facade shattered, revealing the raw, ugly manipulator beneath. It was loud, vulgar, desperate. Jay Sterling tried to regain control, yelling, threatening legal action, but it was useless. The floodgates were open. The recording goes viral. It wasn't just the planned presentation. Dozens of phones were up. Someone, maybe a random employee appalled by the scene, maybe a journalist who got an anonymous tip, maybe even Pete the motel owner who somehow got a ticket and was watching from the back, live-streamed the entire chaotic spectacle. Sophia's breakdown, Jay's panic threats, Liam's brave testimony, the damning evidence on screen. It all went out to the world in real time. Amidst the pandemonium, a woman named Juliana, an acquaintance of Sophia's from years ago who worked in a different part of the company, was seen quietly, tearfully, confessing something to a small group nearby, loud enough for some to hear. She admitted she had helped Sophia and Jay orchestrate the smear campaign against Mark years ago, filled with guilt seeing the pattern repeat with Alex. Finally, as security moved in to escort a screaming Sophia and a red-faced, sputtering Jay out, Evelyn Sterling stepped calmly to the microphone. Her voice was clear, cutting through the noise. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "I regret this unfortunate display. Rest assured, divorce proceedings are well underway, and this evidence, along with much more, will ensure full accountability for years of misconduct and abuse of power." I left the gala shortly after, slipping out quietly. The air outside felt cool and clean. I exchanged a look with Evelyn near the entrance. She simply nodded, a look of weary triumph on her face. Liam gave me a thumbs up. I drove back to the motel, the silence of my car a stark contrast to the madness I just witnessed. The aftermath was swift and brutal. The viral video of the gala meltdown dominated social media and news cycles for days. The company launched an immediate public investigation. Within 48 hours, both Jay Sterling and Sophia were terminated effective immediately. But that was just the beginning. Evelyn Sterling didn't just have the gala evidence. She had years of detailed documentation. She handed it all over, irrefutable proof of financial misconduct, using company resources, creating a hostile work environment, retaliating against employees. Emboldened by the public exposure and contacted by Evelyn, Mark, the previous victim, stepped out of the shadows. He hadn't been silent. He had meticulously documented his own ruin. He filed a massive lawsuit against Jay Sterling and the company, alleging systemic abuse. The floodgates opened. Other former employees, who had been silenced or forced out over the years by Jay and Sophia's tactics, began coming forward with their own stories and evidence, potentially leading to a class action suit. The scandal wasn't just about an affair anymore. It was about deep-seated corruption and abuse of power. Facing total ruin, Sophia made one last desperate move. She tracked Alex down at the motel, making a scene in the parking lot, demanding to see me. Pete, ever watchful, alerted me. She was wild-eyed, clutching a thick manila envelope. "I have dirt on everyone, Alex," she shrieked, mascara streaking her face. "On Jay, on his wife, on David, Emily, people at your work, even you. If you don't help me stop this, I'll release it all." The dossier was filled with screenshots, some real, some clearly manipulated, private messages, rumors, and potentially embarrassing but minor truths she'd collected over years of playing this game. I walked up to her calmly. "Give it to me, Sophia." She hesitated, then thrust it at me. I took the envelope, pulled out my phone, opened the scanner app. I'm going to scan every single page, I said, my voice low and steady, pointing the phone at the first document. Right here, right now, making sure it's all permanently archived. I started scanning methodically, page by page, as she watched, her eyes wide with disbelief and then dawning horror. You wanted to use this to burn everything down? I asked, still scanning. Go ahead, but look at where your previous fires got you. Her weapon, designed for destruction, was instantly neutralized, turned against her. She couldn't threaten me with releasing information if I already had it all documented, legitimately obtained. Her power over it vanished. She tore the envelope and its contents to shreds right there in the parking lot, screaming incoherently about how we'd all regret this, how she was the real victim. This final, pathetic tantrum was also recorded by someone, Pete, a bystander. It quickly joined the gala video online, cementing her public image as unstable and manipulative. Jay Sterling's fate was sealed. Evelyn's divorce was finalized, and thanks to the evidence, she received a substantial settlement and key assets. His name was mud, his career over, his remaining wealth tied up in legal battles against multiple parties. Sophia became a pariah. No company in the industry would touch her. Friends who had sided with her quickly distanced themselves. I heard she ended up moving back in with her parents in another state. Her online presence wiped clean. David and Emily faced their own consequences. I heard David lost his job at Jay's company amidst the fallout and struggled to find new work. Emily's social standing took a hit. They both sent weak, apologetic messages. I replied to each with a single screenshot, their original message siding with Sophia. I got blocked immediately. Cowards. As for me, I signed a lease on a great new apartment. I received a promotion at work, my integrity noted, and the toxic elements removed. I started seeing someone new, someone kind and genuine, taking it slow, building something real based on trust. Watching the fire burn wasn't about revenge in the end. It was about justice, about karma, finding its audience, about the sheer, quiet satisfaction of rebuilding your life after someone tried to demolish it. It turns out, sometimes losing everything shows you exactly what you never needed to keep in the first place. And sometimes, the best way to win isn't by fighting dirty, but by stepping back and letting the truth and other people's actions speak for themselves. This is my last update on it all. The story isn't completely over for everyone else involved, but my chapter is closed.